any of that stuff out of your eyes. And Villeneuve's car failed on the grid, and he is running back. He too will start from the pit lane in the spare car, and that's hard work running. It's the longest pit lane in Formula One by some margin, and Villeneuve's got to go at least halfway down it, jump in the car. He's got about 3 minutes to get in there, and that's not a lot of time, James.
No, there you can see the stricken BAR Honda of Jacques Villeneuve, and our Canadian viewers over in TSN will be sad to see that. They're aware it's been quite a controversial weekend for Villeneuve. He and his teammate Jenson Button have been getting stuck into each other like nobody's business, and a lot of harsh words been passed between the two of them. Villeneuve's had a few problems getting the car balanced. He's not really been very comfortable throughout the weekend, and this is exactly what he did not need.
In a field of 20, and now what's going on? Villeneuve's being told he's got to probably go back and be weighed or something, or that's strange. Of course, as soon as you jump out of the car, you lose radio contact, and you've got earplugs in, a balaclava and a crash helmet, so not too many people can speak to you. And I think they're saying to him, get down there and get back in the car. So Webber did not get the speed limiter on, or it failed to function, and we have a BAR of Villeneuve out of the Grand Prix.
What a shame for Jacques Villeneuve. Came here this weekend saying he thought this would be BAR's most competitive weekend of the year. He was aiming for a podium today, seriously and realistically. He thought this car capable of it. They've certainly got a big step in terms of engine power from Honda this weekend, but it's come to naught for Jacques.
Behind them, because they have less fuel on board and their cars seem to be working nicely. This is an action replay of Villeneuve coasting out of the Grand Prix, the first retirement this afternoon.
And the big question is, how long can Kimi Raikkonen
holding his own? Ted.
Jacques Villeneuve is out of the race. Came in with the engine dead, not working at all. It was smoking, black smoke from the back of the car. They tried to get it going, but they couldn't. Villeneuve, absolutely furious, threw down his helmet. He's out for the second race in a row.
Sad news for Villeneuve then. Verstappen is pitting this, so we'll have to wait and see how it shakes out tomorrow. But I just think they're better, and Jacques getting on the power too early on the way to the apex and spent the rest of the corner trying to sort it out and compromise his speed down the hole of the next straight. There's so much drag at 180 miles an hour, you lose time all the way down the straight, and he's blown it, hasn't he?
That was pure exuberance, wasn't it? He's got a good car under him. He's driven really, really well all weekend, and I think he thought, right, today's the day, I'm going to show you folks. But unfortunately, the turn one was more of a rallying experience than a precise Formula One experience for Villeneuve, and it's cost him big time. 7/10 down at the moment on Raikkonen.
Yeah, and Jacques really frustrated after getting it so wrong in turn one. Has he been able to repair the damage? And once again then, on the grass for Jacques Villeneuve, where does he go? He goes right down in 10th place.
Yeah, he's lost possibly as much as a second then over what he probably would have wanted to do. We don't know, as Martin said, how much fuel he's got in the car. He has tended to carry a little bit more fuel than Jenson Button, which has made him not look as good. And you can see that was the big slide he got on through turn one, and he had another big moment. They are on board with him, fighting the wheel. Another big moment in the final corner as well.
There's 14 runners then, 6 retirees, and Villeneuve pits. And this is a close call for Villeneuve. He's really in a nip and tuck with Coulthard for what I think will be 6th and 7th at the moment. And it goes then, and he stalled it. No, he dropped the clutch and he stalled it. Barrichello then, the race leader, pits. And you kind of hold your breath now when they head towards a Ferrari with a fuel hose.
Indeed, is on as far as Michael Schumacher is concerned. Kimi Raikkonen could not respond to him in those laps, and Torno, what a picture of heartbreak. Take a look at this guy. Jacques Villeneuve was running 5th, on for some solid points. Doesn't look like he's going to get anything this afternoon, but
Alonso up to 5th, Trulli in the second Renault 6th, Coulthard down to 7th, and that is a Honda engine blowing up there for Jacques Villeneuve. So just as I'm listing the retirements, we're down to 13 cars. That's where the engine's under the most pressure, of course. Top gear, top revs on the edge of the tunnel, about 180 miles an hour, and bang.
As he said too, looks like it's pretty light, but even so, those Minardis have been so slow that even running light hasn't been good enough to keep them away. So it's a good job from Wilson nevertheless. Webber, not in a lot of traffic, Neil, which will help, because he certainly hasn't had an incident-free season, so it's nice to see him on his own for a little while.
And incidentally, just as we were talking about Wilson, he has now pitted, which would confirm a 3-stop strategy for those guys. Here's the BARs. Shocker in qualifying for those guys. They're scrapping at the moment back in the order. Villeneuve up to position 9, Button down in 13. Montoya, incidentally, has just gone fast. This is heading down into the first chicane. Pretty lively battle here between the Sauber and the BAR. Let's go back to ITV.
Lap 15 in Montreal, and Jacques Villeneuve seems to be in trouble. His brakes seem to be going away from him. He's just dropped 5 or 6 places. He was at the front of this scrap here, which involves Heidfeld, the fastest man on the racetrack at the moment, as Villeneuve dives into the pits. Montoya closing the gap slowly to the top 2.
Yes, we saw Villeneuve, even in turn 3, which is not a heavy braking corner, with glowing front discs. They haven't got, look, they're having to put fire extinguisher on it. You've got to do something to give him some more front brake cooling, and they're struggling to get those brake temperatures under control, and that's exactly Louise.
Yeah, I'm down in the BAR garage at the moment, as we just saw Jacques Villeneuve having all sorts of problems with his brakes. The team, as you can probably see, have just brought him in again. They're going to bring the car into the garage and have a further look at those brakes, see if they can correct that problem once and for all. But obviously, this is going to cost him a lot of time.
Yes, and continuing his bad luck at this racetrack. What's happened there is his brake fluid will have boiled. That heat dissipates into the caliper and into the fluid, and you get bubbles in there, and it takes forever to get that out. That's a big job to sort his brakes out. And
down through the bit curve then, over 100 miles an hour, onto the back straight.
Surely Jacques can do it now. Get in the slipstream. There is a big stop at the end of this, an equal level of grip from side to side on the track. He now has the right position, and he should easily make that move. Villeneuve will now be released and can get underway, but that was really his easiest and best chance, and he took it nicely.
So Villeneuve goes up into 17th place, Verstappen drops to 18th, and Villeneuve starts to drive away a little bit. Jos the boss, nice to see him battling there. Wilson, you just saw at the top of your screens. So Raikkonen leading on lap 9. Heidfeld having a bit of a go side by side with Verstappen, and he makes it stick. That's where Heidfeld went off in qualifying. Verstappen's making it hard for him though. A nice bit of overtaking, 2 passes then in a sequence of a few corners. And Villeneuve's binned it. He's managed to control it though. Oh, we had a huge aquaplane in Friday qualifying, went straight on at the hairpin. Not at all his fault. On a very, very wet track, he was on the wrong tyres, but there he just appeared to drop it.
Well, he was pushing hard, wasn't he? He finally cleared the Minardi. He's got some track in front of him, just wanted to get on with it. There was a gap of some 11 seconds to the main midfield pack, and there, got some understeer in turn 2. Managed to keep it all together, bits and pieces of carbon fibre coming off from underneath the front wing and underneath the strakes that run underneath the car. So he will not be handling as well as he was, and he's got to do it all over again, except now it's 2 Minardis and a Sauber.
Well, that should be an entertaining lap 11 of 60 here at the European Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. It's a fantastic scrap for last place in the Grand Prix, something you don't see very often. Jacques Villeneuve, who certainly doesn't appear at the back all that often, is trying to pass Justin Wilson in the Minardi in front. This is
seconds. Ted.
Well, Martin, you're talking about the Renaults. I've got to say, actually, they're looking pretty good in this. The lap time suggests that they are going to run longer than the Williams.
Ted, must interrupt you, sorry. Jacques Villeneuve's front wing has come undone. I wonder whether he's hit the chicane bollards that we were talking about before, because certainly a number of people have done that this weekend, and the man who was giving us the best fight of the Grand Prix has now knocked his front wing off, Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah, we saw him spin off exactly here where he is now, so either the damage was done there, we did see pieces of carbon flicking up in the air. I think more likely he's giving the bollards a whack at the chicane. So that somewhat concludes a miserable first part of the Grand Prix. He will stop, have a new nose and read. There we go, look, yeah, it was the bollard on the right-hand side, driver error, and they'll change the nose, but that will leave him back at the tail end of the field again. At the moment, the 2 Jordans are 19th and 20th.
It's like some sort of fairy tale, this, isn't it? It's sort of some sort of terrible dream where you constantly going back and back and back to the back of the grid, no matter how hard you try. Here's the Renaults then, or Monza. Villeneuve out of the Grand Prix. He was in 15th place. And they're giving us a Button caption, but I can assure you that is definitely Jacques Villeneuve there. Oh, there we are, off the racetrack. So the end of this lap, there'll be 6 to go at the Nürburgring. Ralf Schumacher comfortably in front, Montoya second, Barrichello third, Alonso fourth, Coulthard fifth, still right.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because he was lapping reasonably quickly as Jacques Villeneuve takes a trip across the beach. He just kept some momentum. He was in 9th place out of the points. He was 9th.
On the main straight in the early stages, but here's Villeneuve's spin a little bit early on. You can see that's the last couple of laps.
Yeah, I suspect we did see him bouncing across the gravel there. Suspect that's some kind of rear brake problem towards the end of the Grand Prix. The brake pads and discs get pretty thin. We did see them having a lot of problems on the BAR at Canada, in Montreal, where the brakes are under the most punishment. Michael Schumacher, that really was the cause of the incident, but it lays also at the door of Ralf, who was wandering across the racetrack. Crossed the line then. Clearly, we're not in a red flag situation. We're in a safety car only, and they've got to get rid of some of that debris down there at turn 1. And
so he's the first of the front runners to show his hand here this afternoon.
And we have Villeneuve, what looks like in the pit lane, grinding to a halt. He's moving out to the edge of the fast lane in the hope of not getting in anybody's way. It's a very narrow pit lane, a relatively narrow pit lane, just a 2-laner here in Hungary. There is a car coming in the background. It's Raikkonen pitting, so they've got a bit of time because Raikkonen will stop earlier. Truly pits as well from what was third.
Schumacher would be the champion because he's got more victories, as another big retirement then for BAR. And Jacques Villeneuve, that looked like a pretty terminal engine failure. He's out of the car pretty sharpish.
Yeah, I'll put that down to electronic problems, I'd imagine. The piston went through the wiring loom. So Villeneuve falling out of 9th place then, really wasn't in contention, was just coming under pressure from D'Amata in the sole remaining top
before the braking zone, as we look at a replay of Jacques Villeneuve, and that's what it looks like when a 900 horsepower engine decides it's had enough.
Yeah, serious terminal problems inside. That's where the oil starts getting into the combustion chamber, and Jacques, flames licking around there at the back. Look, the oil burning away. Jacques deciding he's had enough of that, and off he goes. Michael Schumacher.
Japan may be the land of the rising sun, but the clouds of doom have rolled in for Jacques Villeneuve. At Indy, his engine expired, just like his contract was set to with BAR. He decided that he did not want to race at Suzuka, allowing the team's test driver Takuma Sato to get a practice run for next year.